Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show.
Yeah, look at you. You look well rested.
Oh,
Have you been traveling a lot?
Did I what?
Have you been traveling a lot or anything?
I have.
You're in Hawaii like the last 8 times I texted you.
The last 7 weeks, I've been every weekend because Kemp Division II kept making it. They kept winning in their March Madness.
Yeah.
You know, they kept going. So we were in San Diego one weekend and we had to wait to see if they won, and they won. Then we had to go to San Francisco for the next weekend.
Yeah.
And then at halftime, they're up by 12. And I'm like, man, we're gonna go to, and then they lost by 4.
Speaking of, and this is my ADD brain, when you said San Diego, you met your wife in San Diego, right? Mm-hmm. You got 30 years coming up, don't you?
How do you know that?
Dude, you think I don't do my research? You don't think I pay attention? How long have we known each other? You just think I sit here and come to talk about me? I know shit about you that you don't even know I know about you.
She's, it's her birthday today, as a matter of fact.
I have my own version of like Lord, you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Like Lord Baelish. I got my own little Lord Baelish.
You're Lord Baelish?
Yeah, he like hangs around you and everybody's got the little birds and everything. And I got spies all around you.
That's true. Did you really do some Googling before you
No,
came
I
in?
literally.
I would think you.
Do you think I don't pay attention to you?
No, but I wouldn't know. I barely know my anniversary.
You and I have a lot of commonalities, like a lot of similarities that you don't know. We just never get a chance to talk about them.
Like a foot fetish?
Fertility journeys, fucking having boys.
Oh, I didn't know you were going through fertility stuff.
Yeah. I did. That's how I got my son.
I didn't.
Yeah, Bronson was a miracle. We had everybody in the world tell us we weren't going to have it. Lost embryos.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, all that. Yeah. I mean, even like with the divorce, like we lost an embryo in the process of trying to have another child. But then, the byproduct, unfortunately, of the divorce is there's certain embryos that, lost in that. But yeah, Bronson was like a miracle.
You mean you got a divorce and there's frozen embryos?
So we had 5 embryos when we went through our fertility journey. Right. And this was after, it's never going to happen, blah, 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 blah. I feel like, everybody's got a story of a doctor like telling them that. Right. It's like they go to some school, they're like, just tell people this. And then it feels like more of a miracle. Mind fuck them to the max. And then we were blessed to have Bronson. And so we had 4 other embryos. One we lost in that process, like when I was still married. And then, unfortunately, due to certain laws and regulations and divorce, you don't always get to decide what happens to the remaining embryos.
But what happened?
Well, in this case, they're going to be dissolved. Destroyed.
Dissolved. Yeah. I have, I'm sorry, let me put my phone away. My wife and I have one more frozen embryo, and it is my youngest son, Dutch's twin.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy to think that there's another one of him.
And wasn't he like a miracle, like the...
Well, Kemp, my middle son, and him are twins.
Okay.
But they're just 2 years apart.
Yeah.
You know how they do that. The first so from the same thing.
Yeah.
But there was one more there. So we pay rent on him in Tucson. He's at a fertility clinic in Tucson. Yeah. Still. I think it's like $100 a year or something like that. But it's like, what do we do? And I thought, wouldn't that be wild if he goes through infertility and then his wife was able to carry that egg, which is his twin? Because what's going to happen? It's going to get crazy as life goes on, right?
Yeah. And I mean, at one point in time, my now ex-wife, but we had a friend that was having trouble, went through a terrible journey, and we were considering, she was to be a surrogate. Mm-hmm. And so lots of, we
did that. We did that too.
Yeah. I remember with Kemp, right?
Kemp, Blake's sister carried him.
Yeah.
By the way, the podcast is on.
I understand. It's good. No question. Nothing's off limits, is it?
No, with you, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Because I know I had you last time I saw you. You were on my radio show trying to find you a woman.
Yeah, well, that was oh my God. I have quit dating, thankfully.
Have you really?
Yeah. Is everything really on? We can talk about whatever. You don't have a sensitive, crazy, weird, woke audience or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I went on 8 dates.
With the girls I set you up with? Or
no, I think there was one, because we went out. I met with 2. Well, there was only 3 on that speed dating.
Okay.
3
I
or 4.
remember.
Yeah. One maybe asked me about their kid 30 times. It was quizzing me if I remembered the name of their kid. We could barely get through a conversation about just regular, hi, how are you? Let's get into an actual conversation. Mm-hmm. Then I get that. You hear about people's journeys. There are people that, whether they were married before, dating before, some people, I love being a dad. And I knew what I signed up for, being a dad. It's the best thing in the world.
Right.
But, there's people on all sides of the equation that you meet as my partner's not really a part of my son's life. And that could be men or women. But I was like getting tested constantly. If I remembered the name of her, I'm like, yes, I know that you have one son. I know that he's 13. I know that he has a soccer tournament in Globe. Like I'm paying attention. Had a lot of folks that wanted to ask me just how deep my belief in Christ went. And it was never enough to just be like, okay, yeah, I believe in a higher power. Yes. Okay. I believe in Jesus. Yes. But did you know he died for our sins?
Jeez,
and so once again, this is the first 10 minutes of discussion. And then the most recent date, which definitely I'm now done dating for, unless it's like introductions from friends.
Right.
Unless it's introductions from friends. Went to a beautiful restaurant, had a great conversation for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I heard about everything her ex did to ruin her life, how him, apparently along with everybody in today's world, is a narcissist. And you're listening, you're trying to casually like steer a conversation elsewhere while showing. But then at one point she started screaming about something he had done to her, about like parent-teacher conferences and a pickup. And people at the restaurant thought she was yelling at me. So I'm trying to balance this dynamic of, really being present for her. Cause you're empathetic, you genuinely care. It seems like she went through a lot, but I'm also like, yo, people think you're screaming at me. Like, I don't know you. Like, I don't want that.
So what do you do? Get up and leave?
No, I gently like touched her hand because she kept pounding the table talking about this gentleman that apparently had done her wrong. And I just said, hey, I'm genuinely listening, but could you please not scream? Because I think, and I was trying to be diplomatic. It's not, I think people were looking at us. A lot of people in the restaurant were looking at us. And so I just kind of put dating on the back burner. I mean, when I was in...
Just let it happen.
I was in a marriage for 10 years. I was, with my ex 15 years. Like, I didn't have to deal with apps. That was it. So I did that just enough to be like, what's the lay of the land here?
Right.
And then I realized, and I'm very aware of my own stuff too, but I grew up in the Midwest. You don't talk about your ex. You probably don't start conversations with politics and religion. Just be genuinely present.
Right.
Like I try to be with you. You're a friend. I'm just going to give a shit about what you say and let it go from there.
No, I think you're incredible. I think you're, I really think that like you are, there's so many single guys, there's so many single women and you just can't find a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's what they say.
I think that to find you the right, like I almost partly want to make it like my goal to find you the right person.
One thing I've found that works against me is I can't tell people what I do for a living anymore.
Why?
One of the first women I went on a date with, and she was brilliant. I think she was like a biophysicist, really enjoyed talking to her. And then at one point she just said, I don't really think that I could see myself dating somebody like you. And I'm like, clutching my pearls, someone like me. And she was like, well, you said that you teach people how to deal with power dynamics and difficult personalities. So you basically teach people how to manipulate for a living.
Ooh.
And I'm like, well, yes, but no. There are many people that use those things for ill-gotten gain. Like I teach people how to deal with people for good.
Mm-hmm.
We all know, anybody listening to this in the carpool lane knows that sometimes you have to say a certain thing or do a certain thing to get a result. Even with our kids, you have to kind of trick them into eating their vegetables or you have to do this. So I just teach people principles around persuasion and influence and behavior change for good reasons, but I'm like, really? I can't say that I teach communication and persuasion.
Well, how'd you go for that? Because you were, back in the day when I met you, or 10 years ago or so. In fact, I remember when you got engaged, right? That was, I remember that. That's Australia on the bridge.
Yeah, good
right?
memory.
Yeah,
So you do your research too?
I wasn't research, I just remember.
Yeah.
I remember when you went and then you came back and it was like, whoa, what a story.
Yeah.
But you were a trainer.
I was strength and conditioning coach.
You were a strength and conditioning coach, right? Yeah. So from there, and then I remember, I remember we were like doing push-ups because you were training me and you said, hey, I want to ask your advice on something. And I said, what? And you said, I had an opportunity. This is you saying, an opportunity to go be the Miami Dolphins strength and conditioning coach or able to own your own gym with somebody in LA, I think it was, right? And I can't remember what my advice was, but if I was to think back then, I would tell you to go to the gym, to ownership.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think, it's similar to I didn't want to leave Arizona, right? And I think you've had opportunities in New York, and I know you've lived in Cincinnati and Houston and all these things. And so at that point in my life, I really loved Arizona. I had found a niche in what I wanted to do, and how I got into strength and conditioning would make a lot more sense of what I do now. It led to kind of how I also got out of it. I've always been interested in psychology, helping people overcome obstacles, kind of figuring out what drives them, what makes them tick. I think early on, that was strength and conditioning related, because that was just a tool to help people overcome psychological obstacles. And I was an athlete, but as you also know, I nearly lost my life due to poor communication in a healthcare setting. So for me, I liked coaching more than anything. And so when I was a strength coach, and even during that time that you and I had met, like what I really wanted to do was find like, how can I expand beyond this? Because it's great making people bigger, stronger, faster, more agile, all of that. But like that wasn't the main thing that I loved. I loved the psychology. How do I get these guys, men and women, that are worth millions of dollars, who are world class, to do things inherently many of them don't want to do? Like Kemp likes to train, right?
Yeah.
He'll train 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah, he loves
right.
it.
I mean, this may not surprise you. A lot of those guys, and I'm going to use that term universally, they don't always want to train. Like they want to play their sport. And
they want to play. But that's also good.
Yeah, they fine.
Right,
but like my job as a strength coach was to get them to, you're having them do things that they're inherently not always great at. They may not be great at deceleration technique, or they might be weak in an isometric hold of a certain exercise. And so my job was to expose them to their weaknesses so they'd be less likely to get injured, so on and so forth. So that took a lot of communication strategy, right? Like the easiest way to get people to do something is you have to speak to their self-interest. And so they wanted to play more, they wanted to make more money. And so I was always fascinated by what makes people tick. That was the through line.
Okay.
And so when I wrote Conscious Coaching, and that took off, that was my first book, and that took off into other industries, I was like, holy shit, I have an avenue to do what I really love doing, helping people, no matter what their profession is, what their walk of life is, deal with how to influence, get more effort out of people, deal with difficult personalities, basically help people make more progress. So now I do conflict resolution stuff with companies. I go in and do all kinds of clinics and seminars on everything from how to build buy-in with staff, or how to get more out of this person, or how to deal with a dickhead boss. Ironically, done a lot of relationship counseling now, which I thought my credibility on that would have taken a hit. Given
Are you talking about serious, like one-on-one with a couple?
Yeah, I mean, like just people that were coming to me for executive coaching, let's say from a certain company, right? And initially they wanted to deal with how do I manage this staff and what have you. Now they're like, well, can I shift gears and talk to you about some things I'm dealing with my husband? So for me, I loved coaching. And I think that's also where, like, I loved that you had an improv background, because I started a lot of what you have to do when you deal with people. I would imagine when you're interviewing me or when you're on Johnjay and Rich, you have to rely on your background to ask certain questions to understand where to steer that conversation or how to help them. So I always loved people, and that's kind of how that convergence took place, is how do I help people deal with deep, dark shit that they all deal with?
Right, so let me jump back to manipulation. What is a tool that you've used when you're dealing with someone? Because you're dealing with football players, right? I mean, in the beginning, athletes, I know some of the guys you train, big football players, famous football players.
Sure.
If they wouldn't do something, is there a trick you use? Just kind of like you with your son. Yeah.
So a common question, and this will lead to the example, is a coach was asking me recently.
When you say coach, you mean coach like?
Yeah, this is like a sport example.
Like, yeah, but when the example, is it a coach that we would know? Is it a coach that's?
Yeah, but I can't say the name.
I know, but can you say, is it NCAA?
Yes, NCAA.
Okay.
Yeah.
What sport? What sport?
Football.
Okay.
And there are certain things that are not mandatory, just like in the NFL or like NFL, they have collective bargaining agreements where certain athletes, they can choose whether they show up for certain workouts at certain times, right? Okay. But this guy's like, how do I incentivize it so they make the right choice? They come, they do the workouts, and I'm like, well, the thing about incentives, whether it's kids, whether it's getting your spouse to put, their dirty laundry away, or maybe cook dinner once a night, like once a week or something, is pay attention to what they already care about. For athletes, a lot of that's recognition. They want social rewards. They want to be known as the hardest worker. They want to be known as this. For certain people, of course, it's money and financial rewards. So I'm like, you're not having trouble incentivizing them. You're not paying attention to what already incentivizes them. And I ask them, what does this person care about the most? What do you mean? I don't know.
You asked the coach about a player.
Yeah, because that's what
does this player care about the most?
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know.
Yeah. And then I push him a little bit more. And he's like, well, he wants to be recognized as, he likes being known that he's the hardest worker in the room. And I'm like, well, use that against him. All you have to do is use a little of what's called aporia. And kind of, some people would say this is gaslighting. Okay. But aporia is like, hey, you consider yourself one of the hardest workers on the team. You consider yourself one of the most dedicated guys on the team. You say that, right? Yeah. Well, then why isn't your ass showing up for the voluntary workouts? Set the example that you say you want to set every day. So sometimes, and I do that with my son. He wanted to be a T-Rex when he was 5. I go, buddy, you're not eating your dinner. Wouldn't a T-Rex eat all of his dinner? You're not going to be a very big T-Rex. So it can be simple things like that. But as you know, people are not rational. So I think here's a better answer. The least effective way to get somebody to do something, whether it's your mother to go to the gym 2 days a week, somebody to save money for their retirement, their kids to eat their vegetables, whatever, the least effective way is using logic. People don't want stats and all of that. They don't. People are emotion driven, right? We're all inherently selfish to a degree. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody that really doesn't know they need to get more sleep, brush their teeth, get outside? You can give them all the stats in the world. They're not going to do it. That'll make them push back.
Right.
So I always try to get them to understand the emotional levers of what makes people do the things that they want to do.
Yeah. Logic is a big pushback for me. Like being a firstborn, being a Virgo, there's certain things that fall under that umbrella.
Yeah.
Of being, and sometimes I'll tell my wife when we get in arguments, I'll be like, okay, logically, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll sit there and I'll go, it's emotion.
Yeah.
Go for the emotion.
Logic is never. When people are like, think logically, that biologically goes against how we're hardwired, right? The amygdala, all these parts of what people colloquially call our like reptilian brain, that makes the decision first. And then
your vocabulary is awesome. I forgot about that, Brett.
Our prefrontal cortex is just like, oh no, now do this. So somebody gets an iPhone, they don't think, oh, well, this can help me with this. And they're like, that shit looks cool. Yeah. That can help me with this. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, but it would also be good for work. So we always go emotion first, human beings, and then we reinforce that with logic. So logic is the worst way to persuade somebody if you really want to know about how to effectively manipulate. And also that term, somebody listening to this has manipulated the volume.
Right.
They manipulate the thermostat. That term just means to wield something skillfully.
But most people think it's negative.
Yeah, they think it means to like shit on somebody, or like just do something unethically. Right. But that's their own experience with that language.
But where did this all come from for you? Like, where'd you go to college? In Nebraska?
No, Kansas State. It came from when I was hospitalized.
That's where you learned everything?
Yeah, when I was in, and I don't know how deep you want to go, I'll cover whatever. Hey, man. But I spent collectively 8+ months of my life in an eating disorder hospital as a teenager.
Right. I saw the pictures are unbelievable.
And you would hear nurses and doctors talk about patients as if they were things. Oh, like, can you believe this person's doing this? And, it wasn't so much treatment as what's really going on here. As you know, with addiction or any kind of underlying disorder, it's never the thing. Like most alcoholics aren't like, oh my God, I love the taste of vodka.
Right.
There's something underlying that people are either running towards or running from. For me, my eating disorder at that time is I didn't know how to deal with stress. Parents were going through a divorce. A lot of my friends got into hardcore drugs, things like that. Working out was a refuge for me. And I took it to an extreme. It was how I dealt with anger. It was how I dealt with anxiety. I started doing radical dieting, eating low fat, eating low fat, low carb, because that's what Men's Health told me. I'm like 14. But when I was in this hospital, they're not really worried about the root cause of why this 56-year-old woman's in there or why I'm in there. They're just giving you medication, Zoloft. They're feeding you 6,000, 7,000 calories a day. And for me, my interest was always like, how the fucking people, like, how is this reality? How is this treatment? How are these people that are supposed to be caring for people? Like, how is this what they think is helpful? Mm-hmm. And they would treat you like shit. Mm-hmm. They would talk down to you. They'd be rude to you. And so like that was when I started looking at the room of other patients too. This woman was the middle of 9 children. Her eating disorder was a way to get attention early on in her family. Another one, husband cheated on her. I think I've told you this, a junior Olympic wrestler, his dad beat him after not making weight. So every day was a PhD in psychology.
Are you taking mental notes? Are you like how?
I mean, as much as a 14 to 15 year old, I'm taking mental notes thinking, there's like we have these group therapy sessions, and I'm understanding that these people that work for the hospital are not really listening. And when they leave the room, the patients talk about the real stuff in their lives. Mm-hmm. And I think that was my first understanding of people will very rarely reveal to you what they're thinking, what they want, what they need, unless it's informal or they're in a psychological state where they feel comfortable around you. Mm-hmm. And so that would be another quote unquote ethical use. I'm not gonna say that every time like manipulation. Like the one thing I teach my son, even at this young age, is in essence, if you want somebody to change their behavior or do what you want in a good way, the first step is get them in an emotional state where they're ready to even receive that message. It doesn't matter what you have to say. If they're stressed or they're coming from some, they've had a bad day or they're defensive, they're not going to listen to you anyway. And you would see these doctors and nurses, a lot of them didn't care about what we all had to say. In their opinion, you had an eating disorder. It's one size fits all. Antidepressants, anti-anxiety, stuff you with food. That should cure the issue, and it doesn't.
When you talk about like teaching your son, it kind of, you gave me things that I do without studying. Like there's something just happens as a human being, right? Like I try to make somebody laugh.
Yeah.
And when we're laughing, smiling, having a good time, then I ask him for what I need to ask. Right.
So that would be called an ingratiation tactic. You are incredible at this. You use humor to disarm people. Uh-huh. You downplay your own intelligence a lot too. It's kind of like play a fool to catch a fool. You're good at this. Yes, you do.
I'm very
even when I watch you interact with you are so filled with humor and joy and a fun energy. It's incredibly disarming. And so you could have Demi Lovato here, Taylor Swift, Marshall Mathers, and they're all going to open up to you to agree because you don't seem like you have an agenda.
How come you didn't say Eminem? You said Marshall Mathers. Sounds like you're friends.
For all you know, he's a client.
Have you you can't.
No. But you are good. You need to that is something that I study from you. You don't know this, but I've actually used you when I give lectures. I talk about, and I don't always use your name because I want to respect your privacy.
You can use my name.
But you are incredibly disarming. And your interview style is so organic and natural. And you can tell that you have an improv background because you're loose with it, but you can always take that through line that maybe was 10 minutes ago and bring it back to close something out. And that's a byproduct of your mind. And I would imagine some aspect of your
it's just that when you write a book like Conscious Coaching, like your background, you're using a lot what happened to you in the hospital, right? But also your college education. But like you just came up with the words that I was using. Are those words, are those definitions you came up with, or those are real definitions?
In terms of you mean
like when I told you what I do, that's called ingratiation.
Yeah, well, that's just like a blend of I understand there's a wide range of listeners. Some people just like the common term, but that also is a research term. That's my doctorate.
Right.
I went full nerd as I transitioned into different careers. Cause again, my fascination with what makes people tick and then how can I help others? Cause I think social connection is the most important thing in this world. Mm-hmm. If I've thought about doing a non-for-profit multiple times where I help kids in school learn how to be better communicators, express their feelings.
Is that because of social media and texting and phones?
I think that amplifies
I feel there's a massive disconnect with the world.
The social atrophy.
With kids. Yeah. It's like, I read this thing that most kids under 24 haven't been on a date, never talked to anybody at a bar, don't do anything.
I believe
like most people under 24 are virgins.
They show that all cause mortality now. Like when you look at when people that don't get enough sleep or smoke cigarettes and all that, obviously that raises mortality risk. They found that poor social connections raises all cause mortality as high, if not higher than smoking in certain circumstances. Because think about that, anxiety and depression and feelings of isolation, and COVID only amplified that. And so my job and what I do for a living actually is teach people social agility, no matter what this person's personality is. And if that person's hard to get to, how can you find an inroads with somebody that seems even the most closed off or neurodiverse or really angry? Because there's a lot of people and this is a lot of what my next book is about. How do you open up the anti-heroes of the world, the misfits, the underdogs, those of us that oftentimes are kind of looked down on because we're different? They're the most interesting people a lot of times.
So will you do drills with these people?
Yeah, a lot of improv.
Would you do a lot of improv drills, like freeze tag?
So we'll do things like that to kind of warm them up, but when we do it, we'll literally put them in scenario. Think of athletes scrimmaging. So like think of Kemp if he was working on a certain drill in a certain scenario, or if somebody plays another sport, or even like when I box competitively, okay, this round, I want you to work the body. We would take somebody and say, what stresses you out or what opens you up? Give me some context. And then we'd put them in a role-playing scenario that's like, okay, you have 3 minutes to try to get this person to just relax, open up, maybe laugh, use anything you can. And then we don't give them any tools at the beginning. We try to just get an idea of where they're at. And then over the course of, the hour, the 2 days, however long the course is, we give them little techniques and tactics and we put them back in those scenarios.
But you do this to them in front of
other people.
See, that's do you know who Jesse Itzler is?
I've heard his name. Yeah, he used to come. He came to Exos a couple times.
He's the guy.
Triathlete?
Oh, he's definitely a runner. I know.
Yeah,
that.
Runner.
He's the guy that's like, he started Zico coconut water. Okay. He started a bunch of different companies.
Maybe I'm thinking somebody else.
Now he's speaking and doing, he's like, he's just on tour. I've met him a few times and I went to his house in Georgia it was a little town called, what town was it? Some little town outside of Atlanta. And I met his house. There was about 20 of us. And it was a sauna, cold plunge day. Yeah. Right? So I'm excited to be there.
He's got a whole retreat he's running?
It was like a little retreat for one day. It was like one day. Get there, whatever. It was invite only. It was really cool.
For elites. Event.
For what?
For elites. For like high class people.
No, it was no. Yeah. There was 20 of us, but there was like, 19, 20-year-olds. There was a lady who lost her house in Palisade Fire. There was a couple athletes, and then there was me, and I didn't fit in, and I was sitting there, and he was talking, and it was so interesting to hear this guy speak. And then he says, where someone like me, my stomach just, he says, I want everybody to get up here and stand up in front of the group and tell us your story.
Oh, that's brutal for anybody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't sign up. I don't want to, if I would have known we were going to do that, I don't want to come here. I was praying to God they wouldn't come to me. And at one point they go around, we're sitting on a hill in his backyard and they're going, this person's going, this person's going. Then it's coming to me. And the guy next to me, this guy right here, he taps me and he goes, you're going to be okay. He goes, you're going to be okay. And I thought it was so like, he could tell that I was like so stressed.
Yeah, paying attention.
And then I got up there and I did it and I was fine. But it's like
this is what you do for a living.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like I sit in a little room with people that I know.
When you're out of context. Yeah, and I think like, too, go ahead.
That's it. It was just so I can't imagine. Think of that person next time you say, hey, in front of the group, get up and we want you to get up and do it. And I'm like,
so we don't do it like that so much as, and I probably did a poor job explaining.
Poor.
We'll break them out. So let's say everybody in this room was doing it, or let's say there was 8 people in the room. We won't bring people up and be like, in front of everybody, Mortal Kombat, fight, we have them break off. And what we do is we create very low stakes situations early on. And then just again, like athletes, and this is where my background as a coach helped, it'd be like somebody comes in the weight room the first time. You don't throw them into a murder workout. You're like, hey, let's make sure your squat form's good and let's do this. Let's set you up for success. So we warm them up into it. Mm-hmm. And then we make sure that everybody's spread out. We'll say divide up. Like we just did this with the Texas Rangers during spring training, their staff and some members of their front office and the Boston Red Sox as well. We've done stuff like this out at Apple. And so we'll kind of set the stakes for them, low stakes, and then we'll say divide up, find a partner, lock and load. And
when you say that, it's giving you the point of, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
But to be like, find a partner. Oh God, I don't know anybody here. Why do I got to find a partner?
Yeah.
I'd rather you tell me that's my guy.
Well, we'll do that for some people too.
Because it's so like, I'm giving you the point of view of someone who's insecure, antisocial, introvert for most part. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Like when I go to church, growing up, when I go to church, I was Catholic. When they did Peace Be With You, you know the part I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was the worst. Now as an adult, when I know it's coming, that's when I go to the bathroom.
That's smart.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll come to the bathroom, I come back and they hadn't done it yet. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think something that when you had me on for the speed dating, and I'm thinking of these questions.
You were great.
Thanks. But I had never done anything like that. And I'm like, what's one question that could teach me a lot about somebody without them feeling like they've been interrogated? Because that stuff's important. I don't want to feel that.
On the date?
Yeah. No. You wanted me to have some questions.
Oh, right.
Right. And I want, yeah. And one question that I asked that I made sure to answer myself first that relates back to what you're just saying, that existential dread of like, oh my God, I don't want to, was what's one thing most people misunderstand about you? And there were some interesting answers on the speed dating, if you remember. But I thought, well, what is that for me first? Because I always turn my own stuff on me first. There's nothing I teach that I like turn myself inside out. I have just the right amount of self-hate because like I've turned myself every which way. I know all my flaws. I know all of this. And I'm like, well, I think what most people misunderstand about me is that I like to talk a lot or that I want to be the center of attention. I don't want to. I would be the same way if I was on that couch, because in my context of what I do, I have to be that center of attention because I'm being paid to speak or consult or, and I have to be on sometimes for 2 to 3 days at a time teaching. When I'm not in that context, I'm kind of reclusive. Like if you were ever around me without microphones on, whatever, like I'm boring. I like to chill at home. I like to go hike alone. I like to, yeah. I mean, like when I was with a partner, but like I very much like my solitude and I'm chill. Like I had to go, do you know CB Dollaway? Used to fight in the UFC.
I feel, no.
Really nice guy.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's retired now, but his daughter turned 1. And he was like, oh, I'd love you to come and meet my daughter. And I'd love you to meet my wife. And of course, as a friend, I want to do those things. So this is not a reflection of CB. But the fact that I had to go be social on a Saturday night on a rare case that I wasn't teaching or anything like that, I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to just stay home, probably rewatch Game of Thrones or Succession.
How long are you there for?
2.5 hours.
Oh, man, that's a long time.
Yeah. But, then what I try to do is just make it about other people.
Right.
I try to ask his wife a lot of questions. Genuinely, I give a shit. The same reason I would rather not talk about myself the whole time. I'd rather talk about you. You have an absolutely intriguing story. And every time I'm around you, it's always about me.
Well, I'm interviewing you.
Well, it's a conversation.
Hey, but I was going to ask you this. Maybe this is really stupid.
Look at he pivots already.
No, I was thinking about your book, Conscious Coaching. First of all, I always have the visual of Tom Hanks holding that book up from Instagram. That is so cool. How'd that happen? Was do me a favor, hold this up? Or
I think a friend of a friend of a friend made something happen. You know what I mean?
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
But it's like that. So that's an example. Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yes.
That's an example of something that I'm horrible at sometimes, or that
marketing?
I'm not horrible at it, but like the average person, it makes me uncomfortable. So for my next book, the one that comes out this December, we just got a 4-star general, Stanley McChrystal, who led the special task force for the United States against Al-Qaeda to write an endorsement. Stephen Pressfield, who wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance and a book that inspired the movie 300, wrote an endorsement for the book. And I had to reach out to these folks and find the right way to convey genuine respect, make my book make sense to them in the shortest amount of time possible to not waste their time, and then ask 2 people who are world-renowned who don't know me to read my manuscript and endorse it. That terrifies me like it would the average person.
So you reached out to the general on your own through a friend of a friend?
Well, my editor knew his editor.
Okay.
And I said, I would really love, based on what this book talks about, to see if we could get an endorsement. Now, mind you, I have certain people that are like behavioral economists at university that are like, I don't have time.
Oh, or there's so you did get shut down.
Oh, I get shut down all the time.
Right.
And like, then there are some that are like, I don't do blurbs. They've apparently gotten to such celebrity status, they've forgotten what it's been like to do this. And like you come with humility. Yeah. I could sit here and name drop and whatever, but like
I know you can.
But it's tough because you have to choose people that relate to the material. It's not like I would just like cold reach out to Josh Brolin,
right,
and be like, hey, I have a book called The Anti-Hero Advantage. But you have to understand their world and reach out to them. But like that stuff is not comfortable.
You can reach out to them and ask them to give you a blurb as Thanos.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because that was a misunderstood. And so that's the thing that, again, I admire you for is you think about all the people you've interviewed, whether as part of Johnjay and Rich or your own endeavors. You have to find the through line and the thing that they care about and find a way to open them up and make them feel genuinely cared for, interested in. And I think it works for you, unlike a lot of people, because you are genuinely interested. But that takes a lot out of you, does it not?
Oh, sometimes? It's exhausting.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Like what you said about Saturday night, that would have wiped me out.
Yeah.
Right? What you did. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I think, what's something most people misunderstand about you?
You know what? That's a good question, but I try to be an open book as much as I can. So I don't know. Sometimes
but
people
it has
think
nothing to do with not being open.
People think that I'm an extrovert, and I don't think I am. Similar. I think I'm very far from that. The happiest I am is when I'm totally bored.
Yeah.
That's the happiest thing.
That makes sense.
I got a new couch today, and I've been working on this couch, trying to find a couch for 3 months. It got delivered today, and I sat on the couch, and I had a tub of yogurt, and I turned on the TV, and I thought, this is freaking awesome.
I would love that.
Do you know that I had about 2 minutes where I had to turn it off and go?
Yeah.
But those 2 minutes were freaking awesome.
Well, when you came on my podcast, I think you were talking about you sit in the hot tub in the mornings.
I still do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. When I get up in the morning, I have a little routine. Part of it is I have put a gym in my house, so I do. I don't want to call it a workout. I try to, movement is medicine.
Yeah.
So I try to get my body moving every way possible, so the blood's moving and everything's flowing. The trampoline. Then I go and I get in the hot tub, and in the hot tub, I take time in there to out loud go over the things I'm grateful for in my life.
At 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. And I do it out loud, and there's nobody there, and I look at the stars, and I just feel it total peace. It's like my time. Then I get in the cold plunge. Then when I'm driving to work, I don't have anything on in the car, and I do it again out loud. A little bit more spiritual, where I'm talking to God.
Yeah.
Or I talk to my parents. Both my parents have passed. So I talk to my parents on the way to work, and it gives me this reset every day that I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without it, that's what I was gonna, and there's a lot of connection points of that. The one thing, this was another question I asked in the speed dating, is what's one thing that instantly relaxes you? For me, that's a hot tub as well. I'll sit in the hot tub, and I do like to do the same thing. I mean, people think, certain friends think I'm touched because I'll sit out there and look at the stars for 3 hours in the hot tub. I'm like, no, this is just amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
And when we taught this, I taught a course called Imperfect Relationships, and it was a play on words. The I am is it looks like I'm perfect because, everybody wants to bullshit their relationships, just Instagram. Here's our fall photos.
Oh, yeah.
Here's this. In the meantime, they have a sex dungeon downstairs, and they haven't let their husband speak in 3 weeks.
There's the dark Brett.
Yeah. Oh, we can go anywhere. We can go. If I didn't do what I did now, I would be a criminal profiler or a sex therapist.
Wow,
yeah.
dude.
But we were talking about something I wish I would have known earlier in my relationship is what's called a hot zone. One thing that I definitely needed to work on is I'd get home from teaching 2 days. I'd be traveling, what have you. I'd be on all the time. And this relates to what we've been talking about. And I'm kind of like a hot nerve then, because people will hit me with really hard questions. And I want to make sure I'm OCD about trying to help people with their problem. That's what they pay me to do. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. So when I come home from 2 days of teaching, I just kind of need to unwind. I need to decompress. And there would be times where my now ex-wife would come out and try to tell me what was on the slate for Monday and the next week. And I'd be like, this is not a great time. And I realized, you know what? I had not done a good enough job at labeling. You assume your partner knows these things. And that's the worst thing in communication.
It sure is.
It's the worst thing in communication. And I'm like, so when we put together this course, I was like, everybody needs to do something called hot zones. Go to your spouse or your partner or somebody you're dating or your sex slave and say, hey, here are three times where it's probably not great. And not because I don't love you or care for you or respect you, but because I'm wound up or I need to decompress. And so one of those was the signal for me is if I'm in the hot tub, just know that I'm probably kind of chilling, and that's not, you can talk to me and I would love to listen to you, but don't tell me what I have coming up. And I think that was especially because I had my doctorate going, the book, and this book took me forever. And then I have my day job, and you have all the things as a dad. And so you need some time to just chill. And so I think that's a worthwhile thing for anybody listening is think of the 3 things that you would tell somebody you love or care about. These are times where I probably just, it's not that I don't love you, but
in other words, you got to communicate. You got to communicate everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we get back to what I was saying about conscious coaching. So this is maybe a stupid question, but I've always tried to get the vibe of when you're writing a book. Do you have your laptop open and you're just are you going chapter 1? When I was are you just going?
So conscious coaching was very different than this most recent book. So do you want me to answer what it's most recently now?
I want to go conscious coaching first because that's the book that's out, was very successful. In fact, I had to do, we're both ADHD.
This book's out now too.
Oh, they said
pre-order.
December.
It'll be in bookstores and airports December. It's available for pre-order now.
What's it called?
The Anti-Hero Advantage.
Oh, okay.
Through Penguin Random House.
Okay, hold on. Oh, that's so legit, dude. You're so big time.
Oh, yeah. He trolls me so bad.
What are you talking about?
This is bullshit.
Most people write a book, it's self-published on Amazon.
Yeah, that was my first one. It took that to get this deal.
So what you got, so conscious coaching goes out, it's huge. And then Penguin Random House reaches out to you?
Well, that's not how that went. Which question do you want me to answer first so I can respect your process here?
Oh, I don't care. No. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Okay. Let me answer this one first. Oh, I'm going to jump around. My trainer that I have now, who has a very similar background to you, who is incredible. He is so starstruck that I know you.
He shouldn't be.
So I actually invited him to come here today. And
he said no?
He said yes. He said yes.
He's in here.
He said yes, and then he freaked out and said no.
Why?
Because you're the guy.
Oh, I just disappoint him.
You're the guy. Like he came up right behind you. Like he even talks about he met you one time. He's such a great guy. You would love this guy.
It'd be like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. I'm the dude pretending to be the other dude playing this dude.
That's it. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that. His name's Chris. Maybe you can leave Chris a note.
Yeah, we'll leave Chris a note.
Tell Chris something.
In my illustrious 5-year-old handwriting. Chris, you should have came.
Yeah.
You should have came.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how'd you get this publishing place?
Yeah, it was not a fun process. So I reached out I knew I had something to say. Like, I don't think you should ever write a book unless something's like actually tearing at your soul. And a lot of stuff was for a long time. And then also just transitioning out of what I used to do to what I knew now, it was important for me. Like, I wanted to have something that was kind of a springboard for that, right? And allow me to kind of advance into working with the audiences I do more of. But long story short, I reached out to a buddy, asked if he knew any agents.
This after Conscious Coaching?
Yeah, I wrote my first book in 2017. I got told many times I was a pissant nobody. Publishers had no idea what a strength coach was, right? Like, because a lot of people that write books, they're either former tech people or military people or surgeons or they're famous TED Talk people or whatever. Almost every publisher I talk to is like, what's a strength coach? Why would we pick up a niche book written for strength coaches? Which at the time, to be fair, it was.
But then it got picked up with
coaching. That huge crossover.
It's kind of like the inner game of tennis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And it's like any game. Like when you look at your bookshelf, it's really like any book. You know, I have a million books by people in so many different trades. And it's never about, I need to own a restaurant. It's what is this book fundamentally about? Same with film, right? Doesn't one of your sons like work at a movie store or movie theater or like love movies?
He did work at a movie theater.
He did, right? And Jake?
Yeah.
Right. So like movies, you can go see a movie like a Star Wars movie. And it's not really about whatever the Star Wars shit is. It's fundamentally a movie about a relationship or treachery or whatever. So conscious coaching was really about like in many fields that are obsessed with X's and O's, whatever that is. You could build rockets, like the technical part. How do you come back to the human piece? And how do you deal with different personality archetypes? Because you're going to do that, whether you're working at NASA or what have you. So yes, I self-published that. By the grace of God, at some point it outsold like Dan Rather and Phil Knight. I have the screenshots to prove it for haters that will say it's fake. Yeah, I outsold Shoe Dog at one point in time.
Shoe Dog is a great book.
I mean, great book. This is not me telling you my book's better than Shoe Dog.
Stop. I know.
And so all of a sudden this book started picking up steam and I get invited to go here and there. And I'm like, oh shit, like I need to like actually, I came from a profession that the mentality is like a coal miner. You're told when you're a strength coach, you are to be seen, not heard. If you have a brand, you're a sellout. First in, last out, be miserable. I got told that I would be blacklisted from that industry for writing a book. It's that kind of industry. Right. People love being miserable. Right. So at this point, like I just embrace it. I start speaking. I build a different company, the one that I run now. And so I had reached out to some other people saying, hey, I'm thinking about writing another book. Conscious coaching, has been translated into 6 languages. It's sold well over 100,000 copies. And I got people that I thought were friends telling me my agent won't touch you. They only like career writers like a Ryan Holiday or people that write book after, but they don't want. And I'm like, time out. And I genuinely didn't understand.
Ryan Holiday, he's the stoic?
Yeah, the stoic guy. Or just people that what they do is just write books.
Right.
All they do is write books. They might speak periodically, but they're not out actually like doing the thing they write about. They're writing about it. And that's not to demean Ryan Holiday. It's just, that's what he does. Right. And so I'm like, time out. I'm getting like blacklisted because I'm actually out there teaching members of the military and organizations how to deal with the dark side of leadership. But like, because I'm not a career author, like your agent won't talk to me. So that went. Eventually somebody who's actually the son of the agent who represents John Grisham.
Okay.
And who knows, I like him. He's a great guy now, but maybe he's just, his dad was like, take this pissant client and get him off our
So his son was getting into
his son's my agent.
Oh, wow.
The agent of John Grisham, his son is my agent.
Okay.
And I think he just took a shot on me. At some point I'm going to get him drunk and find out the real story. Of
does he have lots of clients?
We haven't gotten to that. Like he keeps everything
like
very,
friends?
We're friends enough that I give him shit for going to a Glorilla concert and being the whitest guy that I know in my life. And, but like you very much still get that sense. And I wouldn't care if he heard this, that like, he's waiting to see what this book does.
Right.
And so first they didn't believe me that conscious coaching did what it did. So I had to like open up the kimono and show them the Amazon stuff. I had to write a 50-page like proposal of why I think people will give a shit about this book. They want to know everything about superficial because they want their money back. And then you pitch them on the book. They send it out to publishers and you sit down behind Zoom and you like, all these publishers are like, why should we give a shit? Why should we do this? And I pitched the book. I said, listen, there's a lot of books written about kind of bullshitty leadership stuff. Just be charismatic and positive, and it's going to solve all your issues. Like you and I know that's not the case. The world is a dark place. There is a lot of egos and dipshits and personalities, and people will not always say yes to you. As a matter of fact, the majority of the time they're not. And I don't think there's a book that tells people how to deal with that. And I think it relates to 13-year-old girls who can't figure out why their friends are being catty. And I think it also relates to CEOs who need to understand how to get their team of people back on track. And they're like, we love it. So
wow. So what's it called again?
The Anti-Hero Advantage.
Okay.
It's on Amazon right now.
So who are some famous anti-heroes? Walter White?
And I think that's a good point. So like that was one of their concerns.
Right.
They didn't want to name it that because they thought people would think of Walter White, who technically would be an anti-villain or more villainous. So Walter White was—
You're rooting for him though.
Well, at the beginning.
Right.
And I like with marketing, this was stuff that they pushed me on.
Right.
Because they're like, we can't have people think that you're writing a book telling people to be assholes.
Right. Okay.
And I'm like, well, that's not what the book is about. The book is simply this. Do we or do we not have a lot of narratives of what a leader or a hero or a good person or a great person should look like, be like, and act like?
Right.
Yeah. They all have to have this perfect morning routine, and they have to be brave and always know the right thing and be super well communicated.
Be positive.
And that's
know the janitor.
Right.
Know the CEO knows the janitor. CEO knows everything. CEO knows that. Yeah. Right,
exactly.
Right.
And that's not actually the case. If you look at people like Winston Churchill, right, had depression, was pretty much an alcoholic. You look at even Martin Luther King Jr. had some mental illness in his past. You look at all these people that nobody's ever really told you the real story about, but there's a lot of research that shows that darkness, that struggle, those things that made them less than, in some people's eyes, is actually what helped them be tremendous leaders in a given context. And so—
You know what? It reminds me a little bit of Tim Grover.
Tim
Grover was Michael Jordan's trainer.
Okay.
And he talks about the dark side.
In what context?
The dark side of— there's certain athletes, the best of the best of the best. Tiger Woods, dark side.
Yeah, they have to have a certain other thing.
Dark side, yeah.
But also keep in mind that also applies to the 38-year-old woman in the carpool lane right now. And like,
true.
For some, when I talk about an anti-hero, essentially I'm talking about somebody that they have a good balance, right? They can be empathetic, they can be loving, they can be caring, but they also know when to dial up that ethical dark side and be a little bit more assertive and set a boundary.
Ethical dark side.
And tell somebody to piss off.
Right. Yeah. That's what. So what you're saying is it's okay to have that side.
You have to.
Right.
In society, my soapbox is this: we need more balanced, socially agile people. Jake, Kemp, and Dutch need to know how to be gentlemen and thoughtful and loving. And they also need to know when to put the foot down and stand up for something and be a steward of, a good steward of your community doesn't mean just doing things for people all the time. It means setting boundaries. It means,
that's so good, dude.
And so like for me, my version of that, like I'm naturally assertive. I don't have a problem with that. My balance, where I have to balance more of that anti-hero kind of ethos, is sometimes I have to be a bit more patient. I need to be a bit more calm, right? Like what would say is your balance of opposites? What's your more natural state? Give me some terms that would describe you.
My more natural state?
Yeah, like I just said, I tend to be more assertive. I tend to be more direct. Give me some 2 or 3 things that describe you.
I think I think I'm insecure about stuff because I wish I could put my foot down like you're saying, but I'm afraid of the backlash.
Okay, so that's a great example.
Right.
So, and this would be most people, whether they, and I'm not saying you identify as this, but a lot of our audience, a lot of my audience are overthinkers, people pleasers.
Huge overthinker for me.
All of that. Some of them will be avoidant because they don't want to piss people off or are afraid of the backlash. In the book, we give them tools of saying, hey, here are some things that you actually need to integrate because you have an alter ego in you. Mm-hmm. You have an alter ego in you, whether it's Deborah or Johnjay or Michael, whatever, that really, you know, that there's this part of you that you've been waiting to let off the leash. Mm-hmm. And we give you tools to do that. Here's how you can actually integrate that.
Brilliant. Wait, okay. Anti-hero what? What is it?
The anti-hero advantage.
The anti-hero.
Yeah. And it helps people.
Anti or anti, does it matter? Anti-hero?
Anti-hero. Yeah.
I mean, plus it's a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Every social media post you make.
Now everybody's going to think. Yeah.
Hey, it's me. I'm the problem. That's her song.
So those are the two parts of the book. How do I get over this version of how do I become a more balanced version of myself? If you are a people pleaser, overly analytical, whatever, like what's this kind of ulterior mindset you can build? And then also, how do you deal with the world as it is and the people in it? Knowing how do I deal with difficult personalities, egos, attitudes, and agendas?
So how'd you write it? Like again, did you have a laptop open and you're like chapter 1?
Sporadically, because I have a date. I mean, I don't have a guaranteed income, right? Running a business. And so this isn't like, J.K. Rowling. I didn't get to abscond to a castle with my huge advance and be like that cat gif. So a mix. Yes, sometimes with a laptop. The main thing is my home office, which looks like somewhere between a nightmare and a laboratory because I have research papers everywhere or other books. And
you're researching this. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't come from your head.
Sure, some of it does. But the core message does.
Do you know off the top of your head the first few words of your
In book? This case, I did, yeah. Because I had very strong feelings about shit.
Like, you're like, December 21st.
The very first words of the original manuscript, because the editor, kind of...
Took them out?
They have their version of it.
How many pages is it?
65,000 words, 272 pages. You have a hard limit.
Is it done?
Yeah, it's done.
So why do you have to wait till December? Why can't?
The same reason a movie's done filming today and they have a whole production rollout, right? Why are we not able to see Avengers Doomsday today?
Well, that's all. That to me, I think, is because we're going to wait until July 4th weekend when it's...
Well, it's December.
Right? No. I'm saying Avenger. No, December. You're right. December 20. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Right.
So like they gave me the same explanation. I have no control over this. Mm-hmm. So they have, okay, you turn in the manuscript. We take it to copy editing. We take it to this. We have to go through graphic and cover approval, several renditions of that. Then we assign you a publicist and then we do this. And originally it was going to be September. And I go, why December? And they're like, well, because midterm elections. And we don't want to compete with the media for that. Right. So it was super upsetting to me, to be frank, because I spent 3 Christmases, like I had to balance some things. One, while I was going through the divorce, because I have my son the majority of the time over those Christmas holidays. And I want to give him the best Christmas, just as I normally would, right? Mm-hmm. Not as a byproduct of being like a Disneyland dad. Oh, right. We do the holidays big.
So you'll be on a tour during Christmas.
Yeah, but I also, no. Oh, I was writing. I'd have to write.
No, but now when the book comes out, you're going to be doing publicity.
We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that's a smart time to do media. But what I was referencing is they told me you have to have this book done by January 5th, 2026. And I would say, well, why? If it's not coming out till September. Right. And that's when they explain the whole rollout process. And then they have other authors in their pipeline. So, boom.
Is it like in the movies where they give you an advance or they pay you in advance and you get a percentage of it?
Yeah. So like conscious coaching, and I wish other authors would talk about this, by the way. Right. I couldn't figure out any of this shit. I'd try to figure out how Stephen King or Ryan Holiday or any of these, nobody talks about this for some reason. So maybe this will get me blacklisted again.
I think you do well blacklisted.
But conscious coaching, I get a cut of, like if somebody bought it today from Amazon, I think I get like $6, right? Mm-hmm. This is different. They give you an advance. So they give you one payment up front that's like, go write the book. Well, at that time I had 5 staff and I moved cross country. So that money was gone before I got it.
Right.
Then they pay you when your first draft, like the actual draft that they accept, like, yes, this is the book. That's done. I think I just got that payment. Mind you, this started in 2021. Mm-hmm. So like this doesn't equate to minimum wage.
Sure.
Then you get paid the day it comes out and one more payment. And then you never see another red cent unless it out earns its advance. Wow. Because the studio's got to recoup their money.
That's
and
huge.
They say most authors never recoup their advance, which is interesting to me.
So why don't you ask some of the high baller guys that you've trained and women that you've trained when the book comes out to help you talk about it?
For the same reason you probably don't call up celebrities you've interviewed and ask for favors.
Well, I don't have anything to promote.
Well,
I mean, I happen to know some of the people that you've trained. I would think if you're like, hey, do the blurb thing.
Yeah. So that's different too. So conscious coaching, I could get blurbs. Like we had a Super Bowl champion, a full colonel in the United States military, other folks.
No, for anti-hero.
I know, I'm telling you, for this book, I was told it mainly has to be authors, or if I did go with like celebrities, it has to be somebody that would, so like the actual Josh Brolin thing would be a valid idea. Right. They we want authors mainly only that have adjacent content, or if you did go with a media personality, it has to be somebody that it makes a connection. So somebody that understands or has played a character like that or spoken about that, or they have something that relates. It has to be an aha. So I can't just go to athletes for this.
I could see motivational speakers taking this book and making it their own. Right? Like I can see Tony Robbins
trying to pirate it?
Yeah, well, just like, oh, this is a great idea. Let me do this.
They can't do that shit now. I got the intellectual property rights.
You've got
anything anti-hero I own now.
You and Taylor Swift.
Well, originally they wanted the book to be called "You Don't Have to Be Liked," and I said no. Like, there's nothing intellectual property or unique about that. And I'm not insinuating I knew more than Penguin Random House. That's the OG. Right. Yeah, so if they're watching.
That's big time, dude.
And
I've heard of them and I don't read.
Yeah. So who do you think I should pitch for the anti-hero advantage? Who's in your black book of secrets there?
I mean, honestly, dude, I have a friend that knows freaking Bryan Cranston.
Okay.
I mean, he's the ultimate anti-hero. But he's not, he's Walter White.
Yeah, well, this is what they said. They'd have to have the distinction. Like, Walter White makes sense at the beginning, pure anti-hero. Right. You're rooting for him, whatever. What they were saying, and this was early on when they were scared about the name.
Jason Bateman.
There you go.
Ozark.
There you go.
Right? Because you're rooting for him the whole time.
Fundamentally, the pitch is simple. Of what I tell people is we're often told what a good person and that false selling that to kids. This is dead serious.
Right.
Selling that idea of like even my 6-year-old son being like, Daddy, does this mean I'm not brave? Does this mean I'm not this because I'm scared and this person's not scared? I have to have conversations daily with my son of like, buddy, that doesn't mean that you're not this and that. Like we talk about what it means to be. I'm like, don't worry about being a hero. Those things don't exist. The perfect people don't exist. The reason Daddy wrote a book, and I dedicated the book to my son, the first words since you asked are the same moments that may break you are the exact moments that will make you. I love you always, Daddy. Because I'm trying to teach my son that you don't have to live up to this polished, sterile, asepticized, optimized bullshit that society sells you. Mm-hmm. Being an anti-hero means something very different. At its core, it means being adaptable. It means being strategic. It means seeing the big picture. And it means being balanced in who you are, flaws and all of that, and who you actually want to be. And like that shit tears me up because I'm trying to I don't like what we're told societally about what I dealt with that. That was a big part of the hospitalization. You're not this, you're not that, all these fucking labels. And think about people listening to this right now. Who listening to this doesn't have something in their past that they feel bad about or they're ashamed of or they wouldn't like this? And that's supposed to define them? And so I think that people don't want cheesy, superficial shit. I want something that says, hey, you got some demons and darkness and chaos in you.
That's good.
Let's use it for good.
Yeah, that's good. Some more anti-heroes I was thinking about. The chef, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. Didn't your sister work?
Yeah, she used to run his whole, now she runs Mr. Beast.
So I would be interested in hearing from her because I would imagine you like her, and I know you want to keep deflecting from you, but I'm your friend, so I'm giving you shit about it. You channel different parts of your personality. Think about what she has to do. I would love to follow her for a day.
She's insane.
And watch but that's an example of what we're talking about in the book. That's social agility. Right. One way with Gordon Ramsay, one way with Mr. Beast. There's certain dynamics that probably overlap.
Plus she's in a male-driven business. She's come up with so many brilliant ideas and then someone takes them.
Yeah.
It's brutal, right?
And that is another thing that I told the publisher, and I think we were right about, is this book, oddly enough, appeals a lot to women. Mm-hmm. Because talk about a subset that is always told what they should be or how they have to behave. And you know how many women are like, fuck that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think people too are tired of motivational rhetoric. And so that this is kind of written in more of a way that you have to be okay with a cuss word here and there. We didn't pull punches with it. But I would want to meet I would love to, if she ever does take your kid to work day, tell her I want to dress up like a little Dutch boy and go
next time she comes to town, I'll try to get you guys connected. I think everyone wants to know, I'm getting lots of text messages during this interview. What happened to your finger?
What happened to my finger?
I see a Band-Aid on your finger.
Yeah, listen, like I told my son, I got into a fight with a lot of ninjas the other day. They weren't expected. It turns out they held a grudge. No, this was actually from deadlifting. It got cut on a neural.
So let me ask you about.
You're such a clown. He won't even let me ask him a question. He's so defensive.
I want to talk about longevity and health. Real quick.
Let's do that.
Is there anything? What do you do?
Sunning your taint is the biggest thing.
I've done that, dude.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I imagine. Show me your technique.
I met this guy here. I interviewed him here. Certified health freak. He drinks his own urine. And he'll sit. I'll show you my technique.
Oh yeah, your brother's talking about sunning his taint.
I'll go like this, and then the sun goes. It's really difficult, especially.
Do you show that to Kemp and like?
No, they've come out before I've done it in the backyard, but I'm like, I don't want them to.
And what does Blake say when you do that?
She freaks out, especially if she comes home.
Is this why you say she's so forgiving? Like she's very forgiving.
She's a good human being. Happy birthday, hon.
Yeah. Oh, it's her birthday today.
Yeah, today's her birthday.
And then you were surprised nobody got to see this because it wasn't. You were surprised that I knew it was your 30th anniversary coming up in September.
Coming up, yeah, that's wild.
And wasn't she in sales? Like she was in radio sales?
She was in radio when I met her.
Is that what you'd call that, radio sales?
Radio, well, they sell all the commercials you hear on the radio.
Oh, okay.
And she was one of the best. She's
You do a good job with that too. You inspire me when I have to do my podcast because you'll do like green mango. And you have a perfect, like, I love walking around barefoot. I love that in the summer. And I don't want to step on bug. I'm like, man, Johnjay, like.
I know. Oh, wait. I want to try this. Can you sit down? So, yes, sit down. All right. So you guys are kind of in the same space.
Okay.
And thank you for being flexible. So you both have books out. And you both are in the, I guess, the strength and conditioning space at some point or another. This is Brett Bartholomew. He's got a book called Conscious Coaching and a new book coming out called Anti-Hero Advantage.
Yep.
And Joe, your book is?
Yeah, it's called Life Switch. And it's a mindset book. But as you can probably tell, I'm very intense physically too. But I just, top to bottom, inside and out, I think there's a way you can live. And that's either on all the way or off.
Huh? Oh, I want to hear more about that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why I thought
he's more interesting than I am.
I thought maybe this is kind of a cool crossover thing.
Now, are you going to tell him what we were just talking about prior to him walking in?
I forgot. What were we talking about?
I'm not going to bring that one out.
Sunning your taint.
He wanted to ask me about longevity things, and all of a sudden the next conversation goes to him sunning his taint.
This guy's got an incredible sports background. He's worked with many teams. He owns a G League team.
Oh,
right. So like he's
which
got
team?
The Nuggets G League team.
Awesome.
So they're out of Grand Rapids, and they're actually here tomorrow night. So this all worked out, even though it wasn't the plan. It worked out better than the original plan.
Oh, great. So, but he's coached,
I was a strength and conditioning coach for 20 years. So predominantly worked with NFL, major and minor league baseball, special forces, and then combat sport athletes.
But then also, right now, the other things you're doing, like with the Rangers. You're
talking about now?
Yeah, now.
Yeah. So after my first book, now I work in more communication strategy, how to deal with difficult personalities, get more effort out of people. So I coach coaches and leaders in different contexts, specifically how to deal with kind of those power dynamics, as I'm sure you're very aware of. Yeah. People that are resistant to change, how to help them overcome those kinds of obstacles.
I love that because I find a lot of coaches are coaching because they had a problem. They kind of solved it, and all of a sudden they're a coach for other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would make sure that the BS meter is not beeping too loudly, making sure that they are an actual coach who has experience outside of dealing with their own stuff.
Yeah, you read that well. Yeah, so a lot of our stuff is it's non-motivational, jump up and clap your hands. It's cut the BS. Let's find out what really drives people. Let's also normalize a bit of conflict. When you're dealing with high performers in any context, you're going to have that. And you would get coaches that would just be like, why doesn't this athlete do this? Or why is the front office like that? And it's like, well, why inherently do you just expect them to trust you? You know what I mean? Like sure. We're not all easy to trust, and you shouldn't be. You should have a healthy amount of skepticism. So helping them understand different perspectives of like, you need to ethically influence people. That's your job as a coach or a leader in any context. And you just need to spend some more time either building this relationship or figuring out what makes that person tick if you actually want to get anything done.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. If you don't understand how someone's wired and how they tick, how can you help them?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot to coaching other than just, hey, do this, hey, do that.
Yeah.
And throwing darts at the board and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's spot on about, go ahead.
No, I was saying, see what I mean? This is great. This is what I was talking about. This is what I was hoping would happen.
And so you're also spot on. He was asking me one of the things that got me into it. And at one point I just remember thinking like, okay, am I actually a good coach? And I went through a quarter quarter life crisis and started researching like what makes a good coach. And you find, as you alluded to, a lot of coaches, if not for the reason you mentioned, get into it because, or at least they model their behavior off of people they perceive to be successful coaches or the individual that coached them in the past. That's not a great model. That assumes a lot of one size fits all, but it's natural. And then you realize, well, most of them don't get training. Surgeons will get training for what they do. Members of the military will get training. And then you're like, a lot of coaches actually don't get training on how to deal with people, like in strength and conditioning. All of our certifications were X's and O's based. And so anyway, but I want to hear more about him. Pepper him with some of these questions here.
Well, no, I mean, I wanted just you guys to cross over. I was going to do a totally different interview with him.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I think you guys, because you speak to groups of people, he speaks, right?
Yeah.
You both are all.
I'll make sure I'll get your information from him. It's nice to meet you.
This is funny. I feel like I jumped onto a treadmill that was already on
you did.
10.0 and I just jumped on.
You did a great job.
Right into it. Yeah, why not?
I said this is what I like to happen. We're going to be talking. He comes in, sit down, let's talk. I'll wrap up the interview. But I do want to ask you this real quick. I should have you guys switch back again. No,
really?
No.
Okay.
Because we do our two foundations, Love Pup and Love Up. And Love Up, we work with a lot of foster kids. I think it'd be great if you came and spoke to our foster kids.
I'd be honored.
Every year we do a big graduation for all these kids that are aging out of the foster care system. And to know that, just you give them some kind of hope and some kind of...
Those are the ultimate anti-heroes.
I know, exactly.
I'd be honored.
I know.
Yeah, and I always enjoy talking to you, man.
You're great. You're amazing.
We don't get to do this often.
He's also single. We got to find him a nice woman. He's a good-looking guy.
Listen,
we're going to do a dating segment now.
I hope that you go all of these same places with him. I hope that you're subject to all of it as well. Joel, right?
Yes.
All right. Pleasure meeting you, Joel.
You as well.
Thank you. Appreciate
Joe or Joel?
Joel.
Joel.
Yes.
Okay, like Joel. Joel. Yeah. Just make sure. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show.